I will take the remote controller just to control my deck. So yeah, Fjord Trends are trends about people, companies, technology, and are a good example of sustainability because nobody signed off our trends. There's not just one author. It's the work of more than 2,000 people from 30 different studios with the help of Accenture. So think about a company made of more than 700,000 people that works together to understand the trends of the next year. So in 2021, the main topic of our trend was mapping new territories. Because of COVID-19, because of these big changes, we were trying to understand where the world was going. While in 2022, we find ourselves in this new territory, and it's a weird one. Like, there's not just a problem with carbon footprint and ecology. We have a problem with people, with communities, with the sense of selves. In fact, we call the trends of this year a new fabric of life. This new territory is a way to rethink the material, the texture of our society, of our planet. It's totally new. It's something brand new. Distances, Metaverse, planet, everything is changing. So we cannot think as we used to do. We need to think about a new material to shape this new world. This is why we call it a fabric of life. As good designers, we give this shape to our trends. So every single trend is made of a different fabric. We have 5 main trends. As you will see, they are not just about technology, they are more about people interacting with each other, interacting with themselves, with their employers, with technology, with consumers, with products. So let's start from the first one, which is Come As You Are, which is not the song from Nirvana, but it says a lot about the meaning of this trend. Come As You Are talks about ourselves. People are thinking differently about themselves. They are keeping themselves more in consideration. They are feeling their strength. They've been on a kitchen table for 2 years, consuming the material of the table, on phone calls for 12 hours per day, closed in their homes, and they started to produce pizza, bread, they started to make like tutorials on internet. We have seen thousands of cakes during the pandemic, and the Russian against Ukraine situation today is showing us how we need to think about ourselves and our safety. This is why we should think about this sense of me over we. Like, the individualism is stronger than ever. People suffered this trauma. It was a traumatic situation. Like, the COVID-19 was a very weird situation for all of us. It was a proof of strength, and everybody started to think about, what do I want for my life in the future, because I don't want to live like this anymore. So everyone is taking control, this sense of agency, which in English is very different from thinking about a communication agency. It's a sense of control over our life, And as we have seen during the last 2 years, we have been in the great resignation period. Like, I've seen 1,000 people leaving their job, starting a new job, thinking about their own business, starting their own business, being creators of contents, creator of new things, thanks to technologies, of course, to social networks, and so on and so forth. They are both employers and employees, creators and consumers. It's not like when YouTube was born. Now people is creating things. If you go to Etsy, for example, you can find best covers for your phone than you can find on Amazon. And people learned to 3D print that covers at home during the pandemic. So this is a big thing. And this is also a big challenge for employers and for companies. Why? It's because there is this big tension between individualism, responsibility toward the planet, because everyone needs to feel safe, like a pandemic, a war. Everything in less than 2 years is maybe too much. So people is thinking about, what do I want in my life? Do I want to waste my time? Am I using my time in the right way? So when employers think about the way they can attract talents, they should be aware of this, because best talents are very smart people, and very smart people will not accept to be treated as before. So it's a challenge for leadership. It's a challenge for leadership because we should rethink the way we can sustain this new life of people. They want to work from remote. They want to have time for themselves and their family. They want to take care of themselves, and they don't want to spend their life just working. Otherwise, they can create their own business. So be aware, because to attract talent in the future, you need to be more sustainable for people than ever. People is also starting to think about their mental health. Like, they are starting to disclose what is their status. During the past years, people was quite, concerned about disclosing their miscomfort. While right now, people needs to disclose and talk about their mental health. Like, I'm feeling bad. I'm closing my house for more than 1 year, and I want to go out. I want to tell to my colleagues and to my employers, I'm feeling bad, help me. And this is something we should accept. And we should be honest about this. We should be transparent, because in this very moment, being transparent will lead us to trust. And this trust is a way to attract people. So our suggestion about this topic: reflect about how the me over we mentality can impact our organizations, and how we might help employees and employers to work together, and the community of employers to go over the individualism. Talk about the sense of community. Get back that sense of happiness that comes from working together in the same place, even if it's in remote. But let's talk about it. Don't say that is everything okay. Just think about how you can help employees and employers to work better and to find a new sense of community. And get creative, as my new friend Teodora was saying. Get creative about the way your company can change. But we will see something about this. And this is a lot about change. The second trend is the end of abundance thinking is a question. It's not a statement, because we are still questioning this, but there are evidences. So, especially for Western European and American and North American people, our way of thinking has always been, I can get everything I want, whenever I want, with full customization, with full personalization in 1 hour. We have seen before pandemic and during pandemic the growth of 1,000 services for home delivery of every single thing, from wine to food to whatever you need. Well, this is not going to work anymore. And this is because goods and workers are in a shortage. Like, it's hard to find talents, but over talents, it's hard to find workers. I make thousands of interviews every day to find new talents for my team, and it's harder and harder because people are questioning themselves what I want from my life. On the other hand, transportation is not working, fuel is very expensive, and to receive a car, you need to wait for 1 year to receive your brand new car. If you enter in a car store, they will tell you, well, you can buy everything you can see here in the store, but if you want your own personalized model, you need to wait for 1 year. And this is because semiconductors, goods, raw materials are in a shortage. And you can see how this interconnection is showing more and more. Just think about the climate change. The climate change itself is putting ourselves in a shortage of natural resources. Water in agriculture is going to be critical. Even in Italy, we have a very big problem with that. In May, we have more than 30 degrees in the north of Italy, and this is weird. Like 2 days ago, it started to rain, and everyone was like, wow, it's raining. So we should rethink our idea of abundance and our idea of consumption. Our idea of consumption should change, but also the way we make business should change. Well, we should start thinking about what is happening next and what is already happening. Like, we cannot make promises to our consumers. We should start sharing the problem with people, with our clients. We should start talking about the idea of circularity, the idea of the regeneration, of reuse. You can buy smartphones, you can buy everything online which is regenerated. And the impact of regenerated things or circular economy is very different from our usual perspective. So we should start designing our services thinking about sustainability, but also thinking about a different way of consumption, because less doesn't mean loss. You can always make your phone call, you can use WhatsApp, you can publish things on Instagram, but maybe with a 2-year phone or a 3-year phone, and not with the always brand new mobile phone. So let's start think about durability of things, which is very different from thinking about, okay, next year I will change it. Let's start changing our habits as consumers as well as employers. The next frontier is the third trend from this set of Fjord Trends, and it's about this new world, the Metaverse. Everyone is talking about Metaverse. I can't get it anymore, like really. The Metaverse is something, it's like a unicorn. Maybe this is the reason why we used this Pegasus to talk about Metaverse. It's a world that nobody knows where it is. Nobody knows what to do with that. It's like the first version of the web. Everyone, every company wants a metaverse, a personal metaverse for myself. This talks about the ego of a lot of people. Well, metaverse is interesting because it is generating opportunities. What is it? Is a space which is not here with us. Exactly the way web is another space. When we refer to a space on the digital, we call it a website. We give it a physical space. What is the big difference? The big difference is that we're no more talking about a two-dimensional experience. We're talking about a more than four-dimensional experience. So it's a new place to go because wearing your devices, you can visit another world and have an immersive experience that starts from gaming communities. So it's going to be a serious thing that starts from a game. And this is the first time for gamers. It's like the revenge of nerds. Yay! Finally, in my life, I'm in trends. It's something that a lot of us is thinking about. There's a lot of people that used to make pictures and publish them on Instagram that are thinking that they can become rich with NFTs that are based on blockchain and ensure that everything that you produce and start minting is original. It's just like Bitcoins, but it's the right of an author. Well, there's a bubble right now. I'm not sure that it's going to be an infinite bubble. So people should focus more on the quality of their contents because art is still art, and not every picture of bodies and perfect faces is something that people will buy with NFTs. But it's an opportunity to think about this cultural shift. Like, people can get creative on that. As Theodora was saying, we don't have another planet, but with our creativity, we created another planet. So I'm personally thinking how my work will change with Metaverse. And when I think about a customer journey, I don't think just to digital channels and physical channels, but also the other universe channel. And that channel has different rules. There's no physics, there's no time. I can be at the same time here and there. I can have an artificial intelligence with my personality that can go to the post office to make the line instead of me, so I can take time for myself. This is just an example. We can go creative. Don't think about making money with less effort. Let's work for creativity. This is not the moment to think, okay, I will do my best image or my best Gucci bag to sell it on a world on the Metaverse. Yes, that is something. You can be creative about that, but also be creative in designing services that works in another world with rules that you can decide. And that universe is something that has not natural resources, so we can use it in a smart way. Well, there are some points that we should consider thinking about Metaverse. It is maybe a bubble in this very moment because everybody's talking about it, but as every new technology is still a period of trial and errors, is still a moment to make questions, to experiment. And this is something that we always say to our clients, like, consider the impact and the sustainability in time of your project. Being responsible for the success of this kind of project is crucial for the trust with clients. We should start building unique experiences. We should not always copy what we see online. This is not the era of influencers. I don't want to see another million or billion of Chiara Ferragnis. I want to see very simple and maybe, very creative young people doing something new and shine for their creativity and their work, which is something that the world deserves. So let's work all together to make a better world where we live using all the worlds that we can invent. And we should think about ethics. If we design, if we develop, if we create business on this new universe or these new universes, we should start thinking about ethics, about data protection, about protecting the wealth of people and the health of people. So be aware and always respect people. This is all about sustainability. It's not just nature. We are part of the nature. We are animals living in this planet. And we should respect other people in order to respect all the planet. This much is true. This is the fourth one, and is maybe one of the funniest one, because brands promise. Every brand promises something. I remember Vodafone used to promise that it's all around you, ideas.worth. You can remember thousands of lines from brands. Well, in this very moment, people are scared. They are losing their wealth. They know nothing about their future. The planet is going to be destroyed in less than 10 years. And we are still promising things. If you analyze the search of people on Google and search engines, people ask about a lot of things. Just think about the questions that people used to make about the COVID-19 vaccinations, or the real useful of the masks, and so on and so forth. People are asking for reliable answers, and they are asking for answers on every single channel. So this much is true, is what a company should be able to say to their customers. When we talk about sustainability, carbon footprint, all the deals that we are making with the planet, we should make sure that we are keeping the promise. So we should be honest enough to say what I'm saying is true, and I should start making conversations with people. I should start answers through AI's conversational, through human interactions. People has always limited time, but we should give an answer. And we should set the real expectation, because keeping the promise is the only way to keep people loyalty. So when someone in your career will ask you to make a loyalty project, is something that in Accenture happens at least once a year. Think about this. The first question that you should make to someone that is asking you to design a loyalty program is, can you keep the promise? And this is the most sustainable thing that you can do. I'm saving the 80% of carbon footprint. I'm saving natural resources. Is it true? Can you give a proof of that? And this is critical, and this is our advice. The last, but not least, trend from 2022 is handle with care. There are different shades of care. There is the personal care, there is the care for someone else, and then we have the caring as a service, as a business. Think about the personal care. We use watches, bands, programs, online services, even paper to track our performance, because we are starting to take care of us. And during the pandemic, we were scared. We started to use masks. We vaccinated, hopefully, because it's the first time in 30 years that people is feeling the risk. The war is so close that all of us has at least a small percentage of scare in their life. So getting back to the idea of individualism, individualism is also taking care of us and of every aspect of us, from the work to the health to the mental health. I need to stay healthy, not just for myself, but for the second type of health, which is of care, which is the care for someone else. During my experience in the COVID-19 pandemic situation, I've seen new mothers that had no time to participate to video calls because their children had COVID, so they were managing at the same time a bad situation in home, and they had parents on the other side of my country, and they didn't know how to help them, or like young couples living in a very small space, and you can listen the voice of the partners that are working at the same time, everybody in the same call. Sometimes it looks like a customer care center, because when you call someone, you can hear like a crowd behind. And taking care of someone in this very moment is hard. I was thinking about, why not taking care of a dog, as I'm feeling lonely? But then I was like, okay, I can't care the dog because I'm always on a call. So how are we managing the sense of care? Is the caring business? Is the caring service? Are the caring services helping people? I'm not sure. Like, this should be part of what we can do to take care of ourselves. Like, we should care more about the planet we should care about the idea of caring of employees. We should take care of other people, even if we don't know them. So one critical point is, okay, now we are fully individual. We think that social networks are networking, but they are creating connections instead of real relationships. It's a different way of intending humanity, and we should get back this sense of community because it's a joint venture to change the world. Everybody needs to make his own part, but there is not just every single body. There is not just everyone. There is people. There is a community. And community has a sense that is different from the individual one. This is also a way to rethink the business. So taking care of the planet can generate more than $3 trillion just redesigning and rethinking the way we produce food, we make transportation and infrastructures, the way we use energy. And the situation with Ukraine is showing this. It's an opportunity. It's time for new ideas. We should generate cleaner energy. We should use wisely our food. I can see people throwing away tomatoes or bananas because they buy a lot of them, then I don't need it. And if you go to the grocery, I don't know if in Romania it's the same, but if I go to the grocery, the world is made for family. Like if I want to buy just one eggplant, it's so hard. I need to buy eggplants for a family because it costs less than buying just one eggplant. Don't you think we can grab this opportunity and think about a different business? Because people are not going to get married anymore. The idea of family is changing. People want to be themselves. So let's start rethinking this world. Take care of the people you love, but also of humanity. Smile a little bit more and think about things that are here with us, not just on the social media. Social media are a way to share an idea. So use it to create a community idea. And that's it for me, Teodora.
Applause. Very, very, very interesting. Thank you. Let's have a seat. Thank you, Amedeo. This was very, very interesting presentation, very interesting trend. So this is the moment you can ask questions if you want. If we have questions from online, I will read it. At least 5 minutes or something I want to talk about because you did some courageous thing back there. Talking about the end of abundance thinking, right?
Yes.
And you spoke about individuals and how we choose our phones, but here we mostly talk about businesses, and most companies believe that it's almost impossible to make a profit without consumerism. So how can less not mean loss for a company?
Well, it just starts from thinking about the way we communicate what success means. Like a lot of Western countries, but it's something that also Eastern people used to do, is to show off. I have a lot of things. I have the biggest house. I have the brand new car. So what I admire of Generation Z is they start to value different things. So where did you buy?
I'm looking in the
Where did you
room to see if we
buy
have
your
generation.
t-shirt? Is vintage. This is lovely. Where did you buy your t-shirt? At Gucci. Ouch, you are an old guy.
This is a trend.
Yes.
By the way, my necklace, in case you haven't noticed, it's made of an old keyboard.
It's a keyboard, but
Yes.
there are keyboard buttons.
So I'm in the trend. I'm not a Z generation. I'm millennials or something, but I'm in the trend.
This is another thing that we should start avoiding. Don't think about the age.
Yes.
Don't think about millennials, Generation Z. Let's think about people.
Humans.
Yeah, demographics are dead. There are young people that are not going to use digital spaces because they want to open a farm. Yesterday I met a guy that wants to open a farm because he wants to live with animals, and very old guys that wants to start up their tech company. So I think that, like, we used to produce mindsets instead of personas when we design, because demographics is different from the mental approach of people. We shouldn't care about sex, about age. We should start thinking about what is the mental approach of people and stop judging.
We have an interesting question from online. I will read it to you, but you can also read it for yourself. Do you have any advice on how to balance helping others while not losing our own individuality?
Well, I think that it's quite hard to lose your individuality. So I don't want to be the Catholic guy, because I'm not one of those, but it's something that my grandmother used to tell me, and my mother as well. Start looking around. Start looking at what your colleague is going through. And this is a beginning. Start empathizing with them. Helping someone is not a problem. It's not an addictional effort. So you're not going to lose your individual, I'm sure. This is the best sport you've ever made. You subscribed a lot of times for gym, but never been there. But you always think about yourself. Start looking around.
This is also connected with the kindness and the empathy you spoke about. And this is quite bizarre to speak about kindness in a business environment. So how can kindness be integrated in a company in this context of sustainability? How can a company be more sustainable using the empathy and the kindness?
Well, empathy, the real meaning of empathy is feeling the same thing that someone is feeling. So it's not like thinking that someone is poorer than us. It's feeling their sensation. So if you can understand what a person is going through, you can also understand what a planet is going through. When you think about Ukraine, you used to think, oh, that's a pity, there's an awful thing. But are you feeling the sensation of families that are losing their home? How could you feel? Make yourself this question. If you start actually empathizing with people, with communities, with countries, with the society, and with the planet, think about the planet. I am dying. So if you start empathizing, sustainability comes by design, as we say.
Okay, and because I said I want to take advantage of your education, your diploma in philosophy, my last question would be about change, so Change4Impact. It's the name of this conference. Change is something that is not coming overnight and very easily, especially in businesses or large companies that we mostly expect to be sustainable. So what do you think are the key elements to drive change in a company and in individuals, but mostly in a company?
Well, I think that just like every living being, an organization can act like a real person, you know? It's an organism. So if you think about an organization has a community of people and not as a hierarchy of people, you can start talking about a sense of community with your organization and make employees parts of the organization. When the decision is shared, you put more effort in a decision because you don't feel just like a decision that someone else made for me, but I'm part of that decision. Think about the trends. This is also my product. So when you design something, you should not just think about the single use of the user, but you should start about a system design. We don't talk anymore about user experience. We design for life. It means that every single thing that I design take care of employees, of people, of communities, of the ecosystem, of the footprint, the carbon footprint, of all of these things, considering it as an organism called life.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Amedeo, Perrone. Very interesting trends for companies. And since we've talked about Metaverse and artificial intelligence, let's see how we can use AI to help children in learning science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and what can companies do about it, because these will be the jobs of the future, right? For that, we will move to our next guest, Răzvan Bologa, computer science professor at the Bucharest University of Economic Studies. His research His research interests include Industry 4.0, right? Artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and adaptive learning. Welcome, Professor.